He thought the deathly silence gate was a coffin, but he never realized he had just locked a god inside. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really motivates me to keep creating. It is not up to you to decide who should live and who should die. A cold laugh escaped Xiaoyan's lips the instant he saw Hun Yuantian tearing through space toward him like a bolt of lightning. The hand gripping Hun Feng suddenly tightened. Bones creaked. Hun Feng struggled madly, his face twisting in agony. Xiaoyan, the ancestor, will never spare you. Hun Feng's complexion turned a ghastly shade of purple. He glared at Xiaoyan with venom-filled eyes as his body abruptly began to swell. The Dao Qi within him surged out of control, turning wild and violent. Self-destruction. Xiaoyan's expression did not change in the slightest. His arm exerted force without hesitation. A sharp crack echoed as Hun Feng's neck was snapped cleanly. Yet even with his neck broken, Hun Feng's body continued to expand uncontrollably until with a deafening bang it exploded. A terrifying energy storm erupted, accompanied by a mist of blood that dyed the air crimson. The bloody fog slowly dispersed, fading into nothingness. Xiaoyan, however, remained floating calmly in the sky. Vast and majestic spiritual strength surged around him, forming an invisible barrier. The violent energy released by Hun Feng's self-destruction failed to inflict even the slightest harm. Xiaoyan's indifferent gaze swept across the battlefield. Space rippled violently before him, prompting him to retreat half a step. In the next instant, an elderly figure materialized out of thin air. A palm wind thick with deathly aura brushed past Xiaoyan's chest, narrowly missing its mark. Hun Yuantian appeared as his strike failed. His wrinkled face darkened as he glanced toward the spot where Hun Feng had perished. With a flick of his hand, black mist churned as a faint soul remnant was drawn out and swiftly pulled into his sleeve. "Brat, I will make you pay dearly." Hun Yuantian stared at Xiaoyan with chilling intensity. The smile that once lingered on his face had completely vanished. He had not expected Xiaoyan to be so ruthless, leaving him no chance to intervene, no opening to save Hun Feng. Had Hun Feng not decisively self-destructed and allowed a fragment of his soul to escape, he would have been utterly erased. Even so, the damage inflicted upon Hun Feng was devastating. An old parasite who refuses to die. Xiaoyan laughed coldly. "Allow me to personally send you on your way." Fearless and composed, Xiaoyan stood his ground. Though his Dao Qi was only at the 6-star intermediate Dao Sheng level, his Dai-state spiritual strength granted him the confidence to face an 8-star Dao Sheng head-on. Hun Yuantian was powerful, but he was clearly inferior to Lei Ying and Yan Jin. By Xiaoyan's judgment, this old monster had merely stepped into the initial stage of the 8-star realm, hardly enough to make him retreat. "The Xiao clan has always been sharp-tongued," Hun Yuantian sneered, revealing a row of yellowed teeth. "Once you fall into my hands, I will let you experience a fate worse than death." As he spoke, Hun Yuantian's fingers moved imperceptibly. Invisible ripples surged from behind Xiaoyan, weaving together into a vast, unseen net that snapped shut around him. Simultaneously, Hun Yuantian lunged forward, appearing before Xiaoyan in a blink. His foul, death-infused palm smashed straight toward Xiaoyan's chest. Bang! Just half an inch from Xiaoyan's chest, the palm abruptly halted. An invisible barrier blocked its advance. The two forces collided violently, releasing a terrifying shockwave that shattered the surrounding space into countless cracks. To display spiritual strength before me, Xiaoyan chuckled softly. What a joke. With a single thought, boundless spiritual strength burst forth from his body, instantly tearing the invisible net to shreds. At the same time, fierce pink flames poured out from within him, enveloping his form. In the blink of an eye, his body transformed into something akin to crystal-clear pink glass. The moment the extermination fire lotus was unleashed, Xiaoyan's aura skyrocketed. Flames rapidly gathered in his palm, condensing into a 6-colored fire lotus. With his Dai-state soul, forming the extermination fire lotus now required nothing more than a thought. The terrifying soul power multiplied its speed many-fold. Buzz buzz, waves of annihilating heat spread wildly through the air. Xiaoyan flicked his finger. Trailing a dazzling tail of flame, the fire lotus shot toward Hun Yuantian's head. Though Xiaoyan's cultivation remained at 6-star Dao Sheng, the might of the extermination fire lotus far surpassed its former strength, an evolution born of his Dai-state soul. Deathly Silence Gate. Sensing the catastrophic energy rippling from the approaching lotus, Hun Yuantian's expression finally turned solemn. His hands formed complex seals as dense black fog surged from his palms, condensing into a colossal black gate shrouded in mystery. The gate creaked open, revealing an abyss of pitch-black darkness within its destination unknown. Swoosh! The extermination fire lotus tore through the sky and detonated just outside the gate. A destructive storm erupted with apocalyptic force. Humph, absorb it. Hun Yuantian laughed darkly. A terrifying suction force burst forth, and the massive firestorm stretching tens of thousands of feet was forcibly swallowed by the black gate. So this is the deathly silence gate. A flash of surprise crossed Xiao Yan's eyes, not because his attack had been neutralized, but because Hun Yuantian possessed such a mysterious treasure. You dare flaunt tricks before me, Hun Yuantian sneered. This deathly silence gate was refined from an elite Dodi of the ancient era. It devours all things. This was no ordinary Dao skill. It was closer to a self-contained realm forged through countless years of cultivation. Hun Yuantian had spent centuries mastering it. The space within was saturated with deathly aura enough to erode and kill even a 7-star Dou Sheng. Those who perished inside would have their essence blood absorbed, further strengthening the gate. In ancient times, countless experts had fought over this treasure. Yet in the end, Hun Yuantian had succeeded in recreating it. A truly fine object. Xiao Yan licked his lips, a hint of familiarity glinting in his eyes. Your essence, blood, and soul will greatly nourish my deathly silence gate, Hun Yuantian said coldly. He flashed above the gate and sat cross-legged atop it, staring sinisterly at Xiao Yan. His seals shifted. Black light surged from within the gate, condensing into a massive beam that shot forth and enveloped Xiao Yan in an instant. Go to hell and accompany your ancestor, Xiao Xuan. Hun Yuantian laughed grimly. The suction force intensified. The beam shrank and was dragged back into the gate, taking Xiao Yan with it. Hun Yuantian's expression darkened further. None who entered the deathly silence gate had ever emerged alive. Once the deathly aura eroded Xiao Yan's Dou Qi, his life and death would be entirely at Hun Yuantian's mercy. Humph! A rabble of ants dares dream of flattening the Hun clan. Once we are fully prepared, none of you will escape. He raised his head, gazing at the chaotic battlefield and the roiling dark clouds above, letting out a low, sinister laugh. The interior of the gate was a black void, saturated with deathly aura. Even Dou Qi weakened in its presence. Xiao Yan appeared within this dark realm. Surveying the surroundings, a strange smile curved his lips. Hun Yuantian, I'll keep this treasure safe for you. The purifying demonic lotus flame surged forth, repelling the deathly aura. Xiao Yan closed his eyes as endless spiritual strength erupted outward, enveloping the entire realm. In a flash, his figure vanished. When he reappeared, he stood before a black stone radiating dense, deathly aura. A spiritual imprint lingered upon it, Hun Yuantian's mark. This imprint was the key to controlling the deathly silence gate. Remove it and control would be lost. Xiao Yan's smile turned icy. Capturing a die-state soul cultivator was Hun Yuantian's greatest mistake. Back on the battlefield, Hun Yuantian crushed a Gu Realm Dao Sheng elder with a single palm. A miniature black gate appeared, absorbing the blood qi. What intoxicating power! He smiled, then his expression abruptly changed. His connection to the deathly silence gate was weakening. This is bad. Before he could react, the connection snapped completely. Swoosh! The black gate burst forth, expanding rapidly. A figure landed atop it, smiling warmly. Many thanks for the gift. Hun Yuantian froze, then his eyes turned blood red. Black qi coiled and lingered around the enormous gate. Xiao Yan sat leisurely atop it, his posture calm and composed. A faint trace of ridicule shimmered in his eyes as he looked down at Hun Yuantian, whose eyes had already turned blood red in barely a breath's time. Had this man chosen to charge in and battle Xiao Yan the moment he was trapped within the deathly silence gate? Perhaps he might have managed to suppress him, if only slightly. Unfortunately, Hun Yuantian had been far too arrogant. He had believed that the deathly qi permeating the gate would be enough to slowly erode Xiao Yan's strength, grinding him down bit by bit. Who could have imagined that not only was the deathly qi utterly incapable of restraining the purifying demonic lotus flame, but even the soul stone Hun Yuantian had painstakingly concealed within the deathly silence gate had been uncovered by Xiao Yan. The spiritual stone was the very core of the deathly silence gate, its most vital foundation. Hun Yuantian had hidden it with extreme care, yet he had forgotten one crucial fact. Xiao Yan's soul had already stepped into the die state. With a single thought, his spiritual strength could probe every corner of the entire deathly silence gate. No matter how deeply the spiritual stone was hidden, it would inevitably be exposed under such scrutiny. Once the stone was found, and given that Xiao Yan's spiritual strength overwhelmingly surpassed Hun Yuantian's, erasing the spiritual imprint left upon it was nothing more than a trivial matter. This was the inherent weakness of the deathly silence gate. Of course, such a weakness meant little under normal circumstances. After all, how many people in this world could possibly possess a die-state soul? It was precisely because of this assumption that Hun Yuantian had made a fatal miscalculation, and it was this single mistake that had cost him complete control of the deathly silence gate. "Xiao Yan, I will tear you into 10,000 pieces." Hun Yuantian gnashed his teeth in fury. Both arms rose abruptly as black vapor surged wildly into his palms. A nauseating stench spread through the air so vile that it stabbed directly into the soul, causing piercing pain. "Humph!" Xiao Yan snorted coldly. He rose to his feet in a single motion, his hand seals shifting rapidly. Instantly, an illusory figure 10,000 feet tall manifested around his body. A colossal tide of spiritual strength erupted outward, sweeping across the heavens like a raging tsunami. Yellow Spring Divine Anger. This time, when the divine art was unleashed, the giant figure was no longer hazy and unreal. Brilliant ripples of light coursed through its massive form, rendering it startlingly solid. At a glance, it appeared like a true ancient giant standing between heaven and earth. An overwhelming aura of spiritual dominion spread across the battlefield. Experts from both sides recoiled in terror, retreating instinctively. Under that pressure, an uncontrollable urge to kneel surged forth, an impulse that arose not from the body, but from the depths of the soul itself. Mole, the colossal figure emerged amidst the clouds. It opened its mouth, and in that instant the entire battlefield fell deathly silent. Only a near-tangible spiritual sound wave burst forth faster than light itself, slamming violently into the stunned Hun Yuantian. Gugh! Hun Yuantian had no time to defend. Blood streamed from his ears as the attack struck. A cannonball-like force detonated against his body, sending him flying as a mouthful of fresh blood sprayed into the air. His face turned deathly pale. His soul had suffered severe damage. The spiritual sonic wave swept across the sky. Numerous Hun clan experts were blasted away in its wake. Some of the weaker ones had their souls shattered outright by the impact. Such was the terror of a die-state soul. The region of sky traversed by the attack was completely emptied. Even the chaotic battlefield seemed to freeze for a moment. Countless eyes stared upward at the towering giant, filled with undisguised horror. At the same time, the black clouds blanketing the heavens churned violently. Dense, deathly chi seeped out, growing heavier by the second. Boom! 3 vast auras suddenly collided high in the sky. A violent explosion erupted, black flames scattering outward as 2 figures were sent flying backward in miserable fashion. Only after they stabilized themselves did the onlookers recognize them, Lei Ying and Yan Jin. Their opponent was none other than the Nihility Devouring Flame. Even with their combined strength, the two were unable to gain the upper hand. A 9-star Daosheng truly lived up to its fearsome reputation. Moreover, the Nihility Devouring Flame's devouring power far surpassed that of an ordinary 9-star expert, enough to overwhelm any opponent of the same realm. Lei Ying and Yan Jin steadied their churning blood expressions grim. The battle has reached a stalemate. Lei Ying swept his gaze across the battlefield. Many Lei clan experts had already fallen. His heart ached, but there was nothing he could do. Such was the cruelty of war. Yan Jin nodded heavily. No matter how disastrous this conflict became, they had no choice but to seize the ancient jade. They all understood what was at stake. If the Hun clan succeeded in opening the Tushi ancient god mansion and obtained the secret to advancing to Do Di, then Hun Tiandi alone would be enough to annihilate all 3 clans. At that point, true extinction would loom. "We cannot retreat." The two exchanged glances, ruthlessness flashing in their eyes. Even now they still held a numerical advantage. The Hun clan spent hundreds, no thousands of years gathering the ancient jades. The Nihility Devouring Flame sneered coldly as he stepped through the air. "Do you really think you can stop us so easily?" Lei Ying and Yan Jin were about to strike when a hurried voice rang out beside them. Scatter now, something is wrong. Both were startled. Their expressions changed drastically. The voice belonged to Gu Yuan. Buzz. A strange buzzing sound suddenly echoed from the black clouds overhead. Dark, frigid waves of aura spread rapidly. So, they're finally ready, the nihility-devouring flame murmured, lifting his head. A hint of relief flashed in his eyes. Without this move, the Hun clan would indeed suffer severe losses. Buzz, buzz! The sound intensified. 3 indistinct yet terrifying auras slowly emerged from the depths of the clouds. Everyone on the battlefield looked up in unease. Boom, boom. The clouds parted violently. 3 black figures shot out and hovered in the sky. Those are coffins. Gasps rang out. 3 pitch-black coffins floated silently, dense, deathly chi seeping from within. Bang! The coffin lids burst open. 3 skeletal, emaciated figures stepped out. In an instant, 3 terrifying auras far stronger than Hun Yuantian's erupted across the sky. Ha Hun Tian Sheng Hun Yao. Lei Ying and Yan Jin's pupils shrank violently. How are these old monsters still alive? These figures were older even than Hun Tiandi, long believed to have died of decline. Xiao Yan inhaled sharply as he watched from atop the gate. 3 more 8-star Daoshengs. But his brows soon furrowed. No, something's wrong. Their auras feel dead. A chilling realization struck him. Zombies. These beings were not alive nor simple puppets, but a far more horrifying existence, revived corpses, animated through forbidden techniques. The Hun clan had turned their dead ancestors into weapons, including Hun Yuantian that made 4 8-star Daoshengs, enough to completely tip the balance of the war. 4 silence, destruction, deathly world. The 3 figures spoke in unison. 3 light orbs flew out, transforming into 3 massive deathly silence gates. The gates formed a formation, deathly chi flooding outward and engulfing the Alliance army. Under its erosion, countless experts felt their vitality draining away. Withdraw. Lei Ying and Yan Jin shouted in unison. Hun Yuantian, return, complete the formation, one of the skeletal elders barked. Hearts pounding, Lei Ying and Yan Jin urged their forces to scatter. If the formation was completed, today would become a massacre. Swoosh. Hun Yuantian flew into the sky, his face pale and twisted with rage. After a brief silence, his hoarse voice rang out. The deathly silence gate was stolen by that brat Xiao Yan.